Hello there, welcome back. Thanks for being here. So, in our previous lecture, we have learned how to start a WireMock server with the help of JUnit rule. Because in our previous lectures and in the preceding lectures when we were also working with the Postman, we have started the WireMock server using a command. So we were using a standalone server and we were working with it. And later point in time, so just wanted to get into 100% automation, and we are also managing the server start programmatically. So with the help of JUnit rule and WireMock rule class, we have started the WireMock server, and also with the help of JUnit annotations, we are just taking the advantage of the existing JUnit annotations, and we are calling the respective methods to start the server and also to stop the server, and we have worked and we have succeeded in getting the response. So now in this lecture I have something interesting for you, and this is one of the good techniques among all, I would rather say, as far as the WireMock as a tool is concerned, because this is actually helping us to limit the response without having to write too much of code, or without having to do so much of engineering. If you are an API guy, if you are really working with APIs, so you know that there are three different kinds of APIs. You have command-based APIs like SOAP and remote processor calls, and you have resource-based APIs, something like RESTful web services, and the newly introduced APIs which are query-based. One good example is GraphQL. So among all, the resource-based APIs are very famous. Like those are widely used in the industry because of the RESTful architecture and the stateless, like one call is not depending on the other call, and each one has its own resources and path, and it has a lot of beautiful features. But at the same time, there is a limitation too. I mean, rather than saying the limitation, like people have started seeing that as one of the limitations of late when they have started working with the RESTful services a lot. So one of the things that they feel, okay, it is not good, is overfetching, and the other thing is underfetching. So this is not a great problem, guys, but at sometimes this makes the situation a bit complex. So what I mean when I say overfetch is that, say when you hit an API, it could be a post method or a get method, and you tend to see the response. At times, like more often than not, what happens is that if you are interested in only 3 or 4 fields in the response, but what the API is actually doing, it is doing its job by serving you the big response. Say for example, if it has 100 mapping fields in the database, it is getting you all the 100 fields in the response, but you are not really interested in all 100 fields. So in that case, how do you limit the response? So this is possible by having some filters. Like I hope that you guys do work with query parameters, so you apply them to see the relevant data kind of filters you implement, but you may not see this operation or a facility with all the APIs. So while working with some of the APIs, you have to live with the giant response that you have been receiving. So one of the good examples is when I'm doing my Karate lectures, I've just taken Jira as one of the APIs, and when I just do a get query, so I do get overwhelming response. Like I do see for a one single record, I do see 100 plus fields, but I'm really not interested in all those fields. Like as far as I have been displayed with ID or a description or a status of the bug, it's all fine for me. So I have some query parameters implementation. If I go through their documentation, yes, I have a solution, but still I wanted to have this control at the body level. So how do I do that? So if you go to the query based, let's say GraphQL, so you will not get that. Like you can just specify what are the fields that you are interested in, that you would like to have them in the response. So this is all about overfetching. So this is one of the limitations. And going on to the underfetching, what happens is that sometimes when you hit an API and you look for the data, and unfortunately you will not find the data. Rather, you will see some H references, you will see some hyperlinks, you will see some other API. So you have to serve yourself by navigating to the link or hitting another API and then get the actual data that you are looking for. So don't you think this is an underfetch? Like you are looking for a data and that is not present and it is asking you to go ask somebody else for the data. So how do you handle this scenario? Like this is also a bit of limitation. So how do you overcome these two problems? So people have found that GraphQL is bit better because it is working with a single endpoint and all the requests are ideally post, and you can very well control what you would like to have in the response. So now, keeping the real APIs aside, if you come to the mocking perspective, you wanted to mock or write a stub, and if you get into such scenario, how do you do that? Say for example, you are writing a stub. Say you need to send some 10 different fields while creating a record, but in the response you're not interested to have all the 10 fields. Like how do you limit your response? You wanted to have only 2 or 3. Do you implement query parameters? Because when you are working with agile TDD or a lean model, so you're not given as much as time. Like you are not supposed to write query parameters just to test a single API, because anyways you're not testing the real system. It is just a mock or a stub. So if you do that implementation on a mock or stub, you are going to take a lot of time, and it's completely a waste of work. So how do you do that in that case? So well, we have a concept called request templates. So where WireMock offers like how to do that. So response templating is the concept. So with this concept, we can predominantly read the request body and get the particular field that you're interested in. It is not just with the body. It can work with your query parameters. It can work with your headers. It can work with your port number. It can work with your context URL. So anything for that matter. So you wanted to know only that thing. So you can very well read from the request, or you can very well read from your endpoint and then have that in the response. So let's just see how this really works. So you just have to create a object for a WireMock rule class, and in the constructor you have to pass a class object, a response template transformer object. And the reason that you need to set it for false is that when you have a false, which means that only when you deliberately mention that request template, it says that it says you can limit the response. Otherwise it is applicable to everybody by default. Yeah, so say for example, if you are creating 5 or 6 stubs together and you wanted to have this behavior limit the response for only one stub, then you need to ensure that you're keeping it to false, so that the rest of the 5 steps are not being templated and you can actually work how they are supposed to be working. But if at all you set to true, this becomes a default property. So everything that you send or that you wanted to receive in the form of template. So if you see one of the basic thing that they have given, so they have created a get mapping method with the help of with this particular URL, and they would like to have a response like from the request, and they've had a parameter called path, and they wanted to get the first index of it. So with the transformer is the method that you should be using mandatorily in order to have this, and the value that you need to pass is response hyphen template. Let us see what attributes can be gotten. So when you are working with this thing, what attributes? See, from the request model, these things are possible: request.url and request.url path, which means it gives the context URL, it gives the path, and you can also see query parameters, and you can just see the method, which method you're operating with, and you can get to know the host of it, the server host of it, and you can get to know the port, and you can get to know the body, each and everything. Let us see one example like how the body can be retrieved. So if you just come to the JSON path handler, so because we'll be working with the JSON messages pretty much. So this is a simple JSON. Say let's consider this as a body, and if you would like to have only the word stuff in your output, so this is the JSON path that you should be giving in this tab. And if you wanted to have this particular inner JSON, so all you need to specify is this value. So it is that simple. Let us just see how this really works. Let me get onto the IDE. So I have created a class called response templates.java, and I really have nothing. So it is created in a particular package. So let's see how this can be implemented, guys. So we all know that in order to get started, so we need to import statically the WireMock client class and package. Let's do that. If you go to the getting started page, because my poor brain cannot remember this thing every now and then, so I do just come here and just take this path and I'll import this message, so that I'll have all the messages that are required to create a stub. So I'll write a method, public void create stub is my method. So in this method, what I would do, I need to write some code to create a stub. So we know that we should start with a method called stubfor. So stubfor is basically a method that will take a mapping builder, so where you can specify your context URL and all that. So in this thing, I would say my mapping would be post, for instance, stubfor post, and URL equals to, I would like to specify /version1/player. So this is my context URL, and it will return a response. Let me just come here. I think I write here. So we'll return a response of with status as 200. Let me just come to another line for better readability, and with status message as OK, and with header I would say content type is application/JSON, and now with body. So what body would like to have? So I'm not interested in all the 10 or 5 parameters that I'm going to send. Rather, I would like to have only one field. So for now, so in this body, what I would do, I would specify something called JSON path as it was specified there, and request dot body, please get read from the body, and in the single quotes I wanted to read the value that I would like to have. Say for example, if I have some name parameter, just for instance, let's just put name. So you can just very well go through the documentation and just see how it was written for a JSON path helper. So if you just scroll down to a bit, you can see, this is how you need to specify. So in this request, so we will have only one JSON, straight JSON, which will have 3 or 4 fields. So that is the reason I have just specified $.name, and then and with this is the body I would like to have. So I think we are pretty much done with creating a stub, because we have status code, we have status message, and we are returning the body as well. So now let us just write a test for it, because every stub has to be tested. So in order to ensure that our testing code is solid and we are ready to validate the right system, because today we are pointing to this stub and evaluating, and developer also will have the same requirements, and he is busy in developing his own API. And once that gets ready, I'll point my URL and run the same test. So let me just write an add test. So let me write an add test, and I would say public void test stub is my method. So you all know that we have been testing these stubs using REST Assure. Let me just import the JUnit annotation. So we know that REST Assure dot base URI. So since we'd be starting our server within our local port, so http://localhost:8080. So let's say this is my base URI, and REST assured, so we need to go to the request specification, given, and then for a log, for a better readability, I would just give some spaces. Log all when body, so let's specify the body in a moment here, and body, and we are agreed to work with the post method, so this is post, and let's pass the context URL here. We know that it is v1/player from the stub, and let's just end this thing. So let me just do a Ctrl+2L, assign the value to a local variable, and I would call this as a response for a while. And from the response, I would just validate that. So please understand guys, when I'm working with post, so it should be 201 created, and let me change as per the API guidelines. So I'm having created, and response dot status code, let me get the status code. So this should be 201, so let me just print that value, do a sysout and print in the console, and then status code and response dot pretty print, so that the response value is being printed. And you know that we have just written a test as well. So now we have created a test and we've written a test as well. Now what we should be doing, we should be writing our rule how to start a server. So you all know that, so wiremock public rule. So let me create a rule annotation that is coming from JUnit, and let me just import the write package. So wiremock rule is the class that helps me creating wiremock server to start, and let me write the constructor new wiremock rule, and in the I'm just using one of the overloaded constructors, which is wiremock configuration, because I wanted to specify the port number. Wiremock configurations dot port, I would say it is 8080 dot, we have seen from the documentation that extensions equals to new response templates. Yeah, so new response template, and I would like to set this value to false. Yeah, so let me just put a semicolon and end this statement. I think we have done something wrong, maybe parenthesis here. Let me just identify what was the mistake. So let me just clear this line until here just to see what was the mistake. Yeah, and now new and response port number, so dot extension is the one that we would like to call. So let me call extensions and new response templates. Response template. Let me just take the right constructor. I think I have some problem here. Extensions is not just coming here, so it is asking me to change to extension type. But let us just go through the documentation, like how the object was really created. So it says that wiremock extensions, new extension, new response template transformer. So maybe we are not using the right class. So response template, response template transformer, I think. Let me use this one and say false. Yeah, So I think now we are pretty good. Yep. So now let me use the extension. So this is not extension of type. Yep. So now we have successfully created the object. So I've just split this into two statements. So just don't be panicked by looking at the change statement. What we've really done is we have just created a object for this wiremark rule class. In the constructor, I'm just passing the wiremark configuration object to have this port number configured, and also in the extensions I would like to have this response transformer enabled with the value false. We have already discussed that when I set it to false, which means that only this particular stub is being templated and rest other will work as usual. So we were able to create it. And what I do, I will just have a method called setup. You all know that we would be working with the annotation so that we can manage our execution far better. So let me just put this with map with before. So before is the annotation, JUnit annotation that I would like to use. So in this thing, what I would like to do, I would like to start a wiremark server, and also I would like to call a create stub method, so that before even the attest starts, it basically comes here and then starts the server. So we know that we have to start the wiremark server. And let me just write another method as a tear down. So what this method does for me is that it will just shut down my wiremark server. So now let me annotate this with after, so that this happens right after the test case execution and once it is completed. And let me just import this thing. Yep, so we are pretty much done. So the only thing that we are left with is what body to send, because we are working with post, and how to set up the path. So let me show you one basic JSON message. Like if I were to create a basic JSON message, I will have curly braces open and close, and I will have a 3 names saying that I will have something called name. I would say this is Roger, and I would say the sport, I would say this is tennis. And then now I wanted to have his country, and then I would set this value to Switzerland, and I would assume that his rank is 1. He was old number 1, former old number 1, not at this moment, but still he's number 1 to me. So that's a separate story. So let me just copy this thing, and then I would like to send this as a body message for some instance. So I've already explained you guys, so you should have a latest Eclipse which is a Photon, just to have this escape characters appended to your multi-line string. So please make sure, if you do not have, it is very difficult for you to work with. And now let us for a moment, I would like to read only the name. So let's see, I don't want everything to be present in the response. So from this body, my stub has to read and it has to respond with only the name. I'm not interested in any other thing. So let me just execute this test, run as JUnit test to see what happens. So test case started and test case got passed. Let us just go to the console and see. You see JSON request body dot name. So let's just fix what is the problem here. I think we have for this mistake. So everything that we have done is right so far, but only thing is that we have forgotten the very important thing with transformer. We have not enabled this thing. So we have learned from the documentation that so we have to just enable the transformer template. So without transformer template, it is not actually identifying. If you just come down to a bit, so with transformers, this thing we have to be we have to be adding this thing. So let me just take this thing, and in this thing just me pass response hyphen template. So the moment I added this one, let me make sure I have got this value very correct. So now let me just run as a JUnit test. Now test should be running, and if you see, the value is Roger. So beautiful. So the point that I have missed is there is nothing to do with the body message. I have removed one extra field which hasn't helped us anyways, because we are really doing mistake here. So we have to add a statement with the transformers, and we have to enable this as a response template. So without this statement, it is considering the body as a string and it is returning this value. So now the moment when we add this particular method, it is treating this as a response template. So I hope you guys are very clear what was the fix here. So please make sure you guys don't forget when you add this thing. So now just for a moment, let us learn some other things. So we have seen other parameters as well. So let me just comment out these things, because we can at a time we can only get one particular value. So let's use that request dot port. So as it was mentioned in the documentation, so the moment I run, now we should ideally be seeing what is the port number that we have been using to work with this stub. So if I go to the console, you should be seeing this another. Let me just pass another curly braces. I think request dot port. So let me just run this as a JUnit test, and then let us wait for it to pass. And you see, so the value 8080 got printed. So with this is how you can actually know what is the port number that you are using, and if you wanted to limit your response, and if you wanted to use this particular thing, because sometimes you do the process of chaining when you're working with API. So you don't want each and everything in your response, because you have to do a lot of complex operation. So in that time, you just use this one, whatever the value you wanted to have in the response, just use that, and then store it in a variable, and then use it for the subsequent request. And in the same fashion, you can also see what is the path context URL of your API. So the moment when I just hit run as a JUnit, you should see what is the endpoint or a context URL for this particular stub. You see it is /v1/player. So now see, without this statement, what would have ideally happened is that we should have seen the same body message what you have sent here, or what you have actually passed here. But now what we are doing, we have a greater control on how the body should be serving as a response. So we are precisely telling our stub that just read carefully the request body, and from that body I want only this particular parameter in my response. So this is how you limit the response. This is one of the beautiful features that WireMock has. So please do practice a lot. We have a lot of methods. So you can get the query parameters, you can get the headers. So all the things can be gotten here by just adding this transformers, and this is really a great feature, guys. Please do focus. I hope you have learned something really interesting today with me, and I hope you guys have really liked this video. Please do encourage me, subscribe to my channel, so that you know that whenever I push a video, you have something new for you to learn. So thank you so much, guys. You have a great rest of today.